From what I've learned, some people actually believe that your childhood has nothing to do with the chaotic state of your current life. If your life is chaotic, if you did not have a healthy childhood, if you were instead raised in survival. It's just wild that I guess there are people out there that believe that your childhood has nothing to do with whatever, and no shame or guilt, no judgment, but whatever fucked upness you find in your life today, right now, if that is the case for you. It's fascinating, and I understand its place. I see it as much more of a, like, manifesting dynamic than anything else, but I also understand that people utilize cognitive behavioral dynamics. You look at the entire cognitive circle, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, change all of those and you can change your life. Sure, but to not believe that your childhood had anything to do with how fucked up your life is. Again, no judgment, no shame, no guilt. I understand that maybe oftentimes in my videos I can be very direct with a lot of the words that I say. It concerns me how seemingly superficial or shallow a lot of the industry seemingly is. Like, yeah, I could sit somebody down and listen to them tell me how much their life is just in shambles and X, Y, and Z and whatever it is. And yeah, I could be like, have you thought about changing your thoughts? And are you aware that if you change your thoughts, it'll change your emotions? And are you also aware that changing your behaviors, just the whole fucking thing, to negate the childhood is like, yeah, let's not do that. If there are people out there that actually believe that you don't have to look at a person's childhood to understand them, it's very strange to me. I don't know why anybody would believe that. I mean, you could look at the entire cognitive behavioral circle or triangle, whatever you want to call it, thoughts, feelings, behaviors. Change all those, you can change your life. I'm not saying that you can't, but what I am saying is that from what I've learned and believe, repetition compulsion is a real thing. And that tends to be much more of a subconscious slash unconscious. I would call it much more of an unconscious thing. Subconscious is kind of like you learn a habit and then you repeat it without having to consciously think about it. It's just something that you do. That's the subconscious dynamic. Unconscious is like the entirety of the childhood that was pushed out because it was so fucking painful. Things that you learned to do in a survival-based childhood because you learned that you had to do them to survive. And when I say survive, I'm not referring to the reality that you would have otherwise died, but what I'm referring to is survival is much more of an identity thing. The identity of the self that survived had to do things in order to survive, things that it otherwise wouldn't have wanted to do. People pleasing is a great example. People that are raised in family systems that lack healthy boundaries and teach the children to people please, those children learn that dynamic, and then they go into adulthood as people pleasers. They literally believe that it's their job to just fucking please everyone. And I understand that a lot of people don't see this whole dynamic. A lot of people don't see survival. They don't see fight, flight, freeze, fawn. They don't see people pleasing, which is codependency. They don't see repetition compulsion. They don't see the entire unconscious. Listen, if you had a severely traumatizing childhood, the likelihood that you pushed a bunch of things out into the shadows, into the unconscious, suppression, repression, all of that is very high. This is a defense mechanism against emotional pain. Being raised in a severely traumatizing childhood is not fun. You don't get the healthy boundaries, the individuation, and the differentiation. You don't get the space to develop as a healthy self. You don't. No. As a result of an unfortunate boundaryless system that you're born into that you didn't ask to be born into, as far as I'm aware, you learn a bunch of intermingled, boundaried, fucked up shit. Like, it's just like, and it's sad. It's unfortunate because then, like, if you don't know what any of that stuff is, you just think that it's normal for you to be somebody that just pleases people. And I will make it very clear again, because I do this in pretty much every single video. There is no judgment here. This is a safe space. I do not approach people with trauma, with judgment, with shame, with guilt. No. This stuff is not easy to look at. I'm very well aware of that. I approach people in this space with empathy and compassion. I help them understand that it's important to be gentle with themselves. That's what this is about. There are a lot of people out there, a lot of coaches out there that will be very hard on you. That's not what this is about. Healing is about giving yourself what you didn't get in your survival-based childhood. It's about being gentle on yourself. It's about being boundaried with yourself and the people around you. It's about asking yourself if what you're doing is what you actually want to be doing, because if you were raised in survival, the likelihood that you learned a true to form role in that dynamic in childhood and survival, like unlearning that, like learning that you don't have to do that is wild. Learning that you have free human agency, even though there's like deep hardwiring inside of you that's like, no, I do not have free human agency. I was told that I'm supposed to do this. I was told that I have to do this. That may be the case, that you were taught that, but that's resulting likely from a childhood that didn't have healthy boundaries, individuation, and differentiation, and instead a childhood that raised you in survival. You learned to survive, if this applies to you. You learned to survive. You didn't learn to develop into a healthy individual with healthy boundaries, individuation, and differentiation. You learned to survive. That means that your identity learned to survive. It did whatever it needed to survive. But the thing is, it survived as it would in survival. And just an example of that, again, is fawning, people-pleasing, codependency. That entire dynamic is a trauma response. If that is you, if that applies to you, the whole codependent dynamic, are you aware that it does? If it does. Is people-pleasing something that you actually want to be doing, no matter how hardwired into it, no matter how hardwired into you it is? Or did you just learn that that's the way that things are supposed to be? Your parents taught you, your caretakers, whoever it was that raised you taught you, that that's the way that this is, that's the way that life is, that's the way that families work, that's the way that relationships are. What ideas did you learn about yourself? What ideas did you learn about families? What ideas did you learn about relationships? This goes deep, and I understand that a lot of people have a really hard time going deep. I get it. It's not easy. There are a bunch of defense mechanisms that come up when it comes to approaching different things because it can be challenging. It can be literally reality challenging to look at. It can be painful to look at. But if you so choose this path, I encourage you to be present with yourself, be gentle with yourself. There is no judgment here. There's no shame. There's no guilt. We are all on our paths, That's the reality of it. And no matter what messed up beliefs you learned about yourself, you deserve to be happy. You deserve love. You deserve healthy dynamics in your personal life, in your relationships. That's just the way that it is. Remember that.